Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. I have a story here about what is being called a hologram chip for cell phones. Okay, so not really like a projector like we've seen, but unfortunately, the little video that is a demo of what this looks like is the most useless video I've ever seen in my life. It's like 3 seconds long, and you see a little hologram of dice, like a single die, and it's moving, but it's such a crappy video. Anyway, let me talk about the actual technology here. The Ostendo Quantum Photonic Imager combines an image processor with a wafer containing radically miniaturized LEDs. The system can control the color, brightness, and angle of more than 1 million individual beams of light. So those are pretty small LEDs. And like I said, you can't really see anything from the demo. And I'm not really sure how this is going to look once it's in a cellular device. But the company has raised close to $100 million from venture capital firms, and even $38 million in government research and development contracts. And I guess they've been working on this for about 10 years. So I think it's safe to have high expectations, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the thing I'm wondering about is, what exactly are what are the most interesting uses of hologram technology? Like we saw with CNN, the hologram projection interview thing that lasted a very short amount of time because it really didn't look quite good. Certainly, I can imagine situations where if you're like working on something, and if you can hologram it to someone else so they can actually see in apparent 3 dimensions what that looks like, that could be like a really huge thing. It could be a good teaching tool. There's other applications, but what's the full list, right, of the possible applications of hologram technology?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I assume there would be plenty of good practical applications, but I don't know. Considering there's government money here. I don't know. Maybe something military related. I really have no idea. But
we can always assume the military could find a way to use holograms for training. No doubt about that.
For sure. I guess what they're saying, I guess an MIT professor here said that the key to the chip's 3D capability is its resolution, and their system puts out about 5,000 DPI, which, just for comparison, Apple's Retina display is about 300 DPI.
Right.
That's pretty incredible.
I'm excited about this in general because it just sounds really cool. But when I think of the practical applications, I need to do more research on that and see what they actually are.
Yeah, we will see. On a side note, I read a bit of an article about the net neutrality thing and how it relates to cell phones. And I hadn't really thought about that before, but it seems like there's another entirely different battle that could be fought on that front with regard to net neutrality. Of course, there are some internet cable providers that also happen to be cell phone service providers.
Right.
And I guess those you could lump into the same category. But then, of course, you do have companies who strictly do one or the other. And it's just going to be a mess. It's going to be crazy. Not looking forward to dealing with that. Are you, David?
No. It is going to be a nightmare, and it's just yet another fight that's going to have to be fought just to maintain a level playing field so that small businesses and individuals aren't put at an even more subservient position when compared to the big corporations. Yeah, it's just a huge downer that instead of focusing on things, not to make a joke, but like hologram technology, but new technologies moving forward in progress, we instead have to go back now and try to fight to just maintain the internet freedom that we thought we were going to continue having.
Right. What a disaster. I have a story here about Anheuser-Busch and I guess Miller Coors. They are posting the ingredients of their beer. All right. Now, this is happening because of pressure from a food blogger. This must be a pretty popular food blogger because how does one food blogger get these companies to comply with that? Vani Hari, I guess is the name of the food blogger. And I guess this comes to us from foodbabe.com. Not familiar with it, never been to it, but there was a petition. This is the result. Don't get too excited, though. I looked into this, and Anheuser-Busch posted a list of their beers to tapintoyourbeer.com. And to my disappointment, David, they only listed the ingredients of their most expensive beers. Somehow, their most expensive beers are beers like Bud Light, Shock Top. And these are the beers that that you can see the ingredients of. Despite having tons of beers on the list on this page, you can still only see the ingredients from their higher quality beers, which are still crap, of course. And I'm willing to bet there are some ingredients they're leaving out. When you read them, you'll see that it just says for Bud Light or for Budweiser, it says water, barley, yeast, hops, and rice.
Yeah.
I'd have to assume that there's other stuff in there. But they leave out the ingredients of the majority of their beers, which are all of these cheaper ones, like Busch Light and things like that.
Isn't it amazing, Lewis, when Bud Light is one of your like higher end beers that you produce, and then it's I mean it's amazing that there's this huge business. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised, right? McDonald's, this is kind of a whole other conversation, but there's just such a huge business around making these products, shielding what's in them, and I mean just the whole thing is I find it quite unsavory. But I guess. At least, do we really gain anything from this, or do we just know that they're still going to hide what it is most people really want to know about their products?
I'm sure they're still hiding things, and we're not even seeing the ingredients of their really cheap beer, which I think people would be very curious to know about. I am. So, yeah, I think this is just completely lame and a complete fail. And if you buy that there are only those 4 or 5 ingredients in their beers, I don't know. I think you're a bit naive, but tell me if I'm wrong. I just assume there are some weird preservatives and flavor additives and other things in there.
Maybe they put in a star anise for flavoring, you know? I'd want to know that.
Probably too expensive. I doubt they're doing that. I remember someone I know that has their own food blog received some samples of, I guess what you could call higher end beers that Anheuser-Busch was trying to make. And there were 3 samples, and every single one of these beers was Budweiser with stuff added to it. And you could still clearly taste that it was at its base just gross Budweiser. And they make no attempt to even create any type of new beer. They just throw a bunch of stuff in Budweiser and try to change it. Anyway, I don't even know why they need to bother with that. Their beers are still some of the #1 selling beers in this country. So, why change it? All right, I have a question for the audience. As I'm sure some of you know, I watch Game of Thrones. David, you do not watch Game of Thrones, right?
I have not seen it, no.
Okay. I just saw the end of the 4th season, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the 4th season last night. And I kind of want to talk about Game of Thrones, but I don't know if I can. I don't know how many members watch Game of Thrones. I don't know how many members are part way through Game of Thrones. And I just don't know if the spoilers are something I can mention. Well, if you had to guess, David, would you say it's safe to talk about, or would you tell me to refrain?
Well, I would tell you to refrain from giving out any spoilers. I mean, is there no way to?
But it's so lame to talk about it and say I thought it was good. I mean, that's stupid, right? What's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that there are enough people who want an analysis of the specific episode because, like, in my mind, I don't really care about the spoilers too much because I haven't watched any of Game of Thrones, but I do plan to start watching it at some point, although I'm skeptical that I'm really going to like it and get into it. So it's like it needs to be people that are into it and have already seen the episode. And if we think of all the members, I don't know if that's enough people to warrant this as a subject. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm leaving it to the audience.
Yeah,
I'd
let
like to
Lewis
talk about-
know what you think about him discussing Game of Thrones and to what level of specificity.
Right, because I don't want it to be ultra vague. I mean, I would like to mention specifics because I think that's kind of the point. Yeah. So anyway, I would like to hear from you on that. Also, I will be reviewing a bourbon this Friday.
Yeah, we got
Friday.
a ton of email and commentary. I don't know if you got other stuff that I didn't also see, Lewis, but I got a bunch from people saying that bourbon and scotch and Lewis really needs to be all over that and so on and so forth.
Right. I got a few, so yeah, let's make it happen. It'll be more rare, of course, because
yeah. Well, for any number of reasons, really.
Any number. Anyway, yeah. So World Cup, U.S., Ghana. Of course, it'll probably be over by the time you listen to this. But yeah, go USA. That's all I have to say.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.